Why is the church quiet? The revolutionary pastors fought and urged congregants to be involved. Well, why has the church lost its zeal today? Speaking of revolutionary pastors, back in 1776, a pastor in Woodstock, Virginia, John Peter Muhlenberg, stood up in front of his congregation and preached from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And when he got to verse 8, he talked about how there was a time for war and a time for peace. He unzipped his black clerical robe to reveal an officer's uniform in the Continental Army, and he marched to the back of his church, and he called the men of his congregation to fight, and it formed the 8th Virginia Brigade, which is still in active duty today. James Madison, one of the great founding fathers in Virginia, was running for the first Congress in 1789. He was running for the 5th District to sit in Congress, and he met with the Virginia Baptists in Richmond. They said to him, "You won't get our support unless you write a Bill of Rights for the First Amendment protecting religious liberties." And so Madison did, and he won that seat in Congress. My point is, the church has always been involved in the past. Why silent today? I think a few reasons. Number one, some have misinterpreted the First Amendment, the idea of separation of church and state. The First Amendment was intended to keep government out of the church, not the church out of government. When Thomas Jefferson wrote his letter in 1802 to the Danbury Baptists in Connecticut, he was interpreting the constitutional rights that churches had to be involved in politics. The separation of church and state was intended to help churches and Christians realize that government can't intrude, not the other way around. Then in 1959, the Johnson Amendment comes to law. It muzzles pastors in the pulpit from endorsing candidates. And of course, today you have pastors who just don't want to be controversial. Let me tell you something. Anytime you step into the arena of truth, it will sound controversial to some people. But as pastors, we must continue to urge our congregations. And as Christians, you must be active, not silent in the pews. Get out and make your voices heard and your values known, and be involved in the political process today. We're called to be salt and light. Get out there, please, and be salt and light to this world.